And John Lacey of Ireland is tonight's referee. This is his 16th major game, assisted by Michael Black and Ollie Hodges. Here is one of the young Edinburgh stars of the moment, Harry Leonard, getting the game underway with a long drop kick away down to the right hand end, fed from the Racing Metro forwards to Tugahala, their Fijian French prop, and it's inside the French 22, which is at the right hand end in their scrum half. Laurie just managed to get his kick away before it was charged down. Caught there by Stuart McAnally along the line to Thompson on the Edinburgh 10, left of halfway. Visser goes, he's away, he's broken the first tackle, he's away like a steam train. The kick and chase, this could be a dramatic opener. What a try for Tim Visser. What a score, 38 seconds on the clock, and Visser has put Edinburgh ahead, and the team and the crowd are delighted.
Well, there you go. We just spoke about a minute and a half ago that if you keep it away from their forwards, that's exactly what they've done. You know, who needs to bother about forwards versus forwards when the forwards haven't even sniffed the ball? Fantastic run from Visser, and again just shows, you know, the quality that this lad possesses. I think everybody's counting down the weeks until he's eligible to play for Scotland, which I think will happen on the tour of Australia. But that was just literally an outstanding piece of play. Great control, chip and chase, won the race and was never ever even in doubt of getting the touchdown. Great score for Edinburgh, opener.
It does make you wonder. I mean, don't Racing have videos in France? Don't they have digital photography? Because, you know, it's like they've never seen this guy before. He stepped through one tackle to begin with, Richie, and then nobody else touched him.
And I'm just watching him. He's a big man as well.
Here's Greg Laidlaw away out on the 22 metres line. Far side of the pitch in front of the east stand. Gosh, the crowd enjoyed that try. Can Laidlaw add the conversion points? High and long. And it's good. Wow, what a start for the home side. 1:49 on the clock, and Edinburgh lead by 7 points to 0. Tim Visser's dramatic opener, Greg Laidlaw's almost touchline conversion. Here's Ian Morrison gasping for air.
Sorry, Bill, I was just going to say 12th of June, Richie. 12th of June is the day that Tim Visser qualifies for Scotland. So there you go. And Stuart McAnally dropped the restart, so we've come down to earth with a bang.
There we go. I said to you, Richie, on the way up in the car, that the fella that Visser is marking tonight is a wee winger, Julien Sobad. He's only 5'7", he's 12 stone 8, and Visser is almost 17 stones.
Well, with his defensive record there, he's been well named, Bill, because it went right over the top of his head and then the run in the score. But all of a sudden, you know, a dropped kick off, that's just where all of a sudden you've got to keep your mind on the game. Scrum down, Racing Metro just inside the 22.
It's funny because I watched Edinburgh play Leinster a few weeks back, and McAnally dropped quite a few high balls, so maybe they should be appointing somebody else to take the kickoffs.
Indeed. Laurie then the scrum half with the put in, the strike and the collapsed scrum. Ruddy Grant at the back of this Edinburgh scrum. To the left as we see it, Edinburgh are playing from left to right, and they're at the moment situated down on the Edinburgh 22 to the left of Murrayfield as we look at it from this high vantage point in the west stand. Floodlights on, of course. Lovely balmy evening, great November evening, not a breath of wind, and the pitch looks absolutely dry. And here is Mathieu Laurie. And they've won a penalty for collapsing the scrum. Alan Jacobson's side went down, and the referee John Lacey having absolutely none of it. So here, you know, within a minute or a minute and a half of Edinburgh's try, is an opportunity for the French to get back into the game.
Well, we did say, Bill, that, you know, if the French side had been looking at the video analysis from last week's game against London Irish, the Edinburgh front row did struggle on a number of occasions. I would think there would be big pressure on them tonight through their very big front row. And you look at, you know, Johannes Coetzee, the big tight head, who, you know, has been around for a wee while. They've got some serious campaigners up front. I was actually waiting for Chabal to go the pick and go from number 8 there, but not to be, and they've chosen to go for the 3 points.
This is Wisniewski, the fullback, who's setting the ball in the wee plastic cup, which kickers do, in the pale blue and white horizontal hoops of the Racing Metro team, and with the white boots on, quite a distinctive figure. And he has kicked 11 conversions and 28 penalties already this season for Racing Metro. And so, he knows how to do it, the lad. This then to get the French back into the game. It's 7-0 Edinburgh at the moment. Here's the penalty attempt. Yeah, it looked okay from here. There was a wee hesitation, I thought, on the part of the touch judges, but there it is. Wisniewski with the penalty. 7-3, Edinburgh still lead.
Interesting to see, Bill, at that scrum, that defensive scrum, Stuart McAnally with number 8 on his back was actually packing down on the blindside flank. So obviously he's a bit quicker off the scrum in defence than Talai.
Long drop out again by the Edinburgh boys. Oh, and then knock on this time by Laurie, the scrum half. Ooh la la.
And the man in front of it touched it, so it's a penalty.
Penalty here then. There you are, offside from the knock on.
Offside.
And how often do we see referees not pick that up? I mean, that is obviously an offside. Here's Greg Laidlaw then. And just a couple of minutes or so ago, he popped over this long-range conversion of Tim Visser's dramatic 38-second try. And Laidlaw again is on the French 22, right-hand end of Murrayfield. Just off to our right as we see it. Edinburgh in black with a sort of diagonal red slash across their shoulders and across their chest. And Laidlaw, this wee figure, only 12.5 stones, but he kicks like a mule as he kicked it straight. Oh, that's great again. So there's the gap widened again. Edinburgh further ahead at 10-3. Greg Laidlaw the penalty.
I always think this is a bizarre penalty to give away because it was very obvious. The scrum half went to catch it. He went a bit late. It went right through his gullet, came off his chest and his arms, his legs, ran forward 10 metres, and the wrestling man picked it up. How bizarre.
Bizarre is the word. Juan Martin Hernandez, the Argentine magician. Stuart McAnally again took his eye off the ball. This time the ball went back out of his hands. Edinburgh have rucked very quickly. McAnally will have to turn his body a wee bit more. He's sort of standing straight onto the ball so that if he does drop it, it goes forward. Here's the pick up and drive by the Edinburgh pack. Great stuff there by Gilchrist. Talay stands off on this side, but Laidlaw goes for the kick over the top. Out of the Edinburgh 22. Talay with the big black beard and the blue head guard. Thumps it back, gets a hold of Chabal. Chabal throws it away to one of his teammates. It was Wisniewski. Here comes Hernandez, and along the line it goes to Bousses and then Chavancy. Chavancy belted onto the ground there by a grand tackle in midfield by Nick De Luca. Still in the French half. Here comes Chabal. Quick offload there to one of his teammates. Caught and brought down by Gilchrist. On halfway, turnover for Edinburgh. Laidlaw saw the danger, ducks up the left. Oh, interception. Chance here again for Edinburgh as they get the turnover from the knock on by the stud. The rushing Metro. Away goes Jeff Cross. Here's Visser again. Visser the chip and chase. He was blocked, but it's a try. It's going to be a try. Visser was taken out, but they followed up and they got the score. And the try scorer, I think, is Greg Laidlaw.
Yeah, it was completely bizarre.
Wonderful
Bill.
Try.
Completely bizarre. Visser kicked ahead and was blocked. The ball bounced right over the head of Matt Scott, who was following up. I tell a lie, Nick De Luca, who was following it up. You thought the chance had gone, and then it fell into Greg Laidlaw's arms. He couldn't believe it. What a stroke of luck. Another good bounce of the ball.
It's funny, Bill, you know, I've just been watching Chabal. He's carried the ball twice in the last minute and a half and has been absolutely emptied both times. I think it was the number 6, Natali Talai, the big Fijian flanker who has absolutely smashed Chabal, and that's exactly what we're talking about at the top of the programme. He can either be brilliant or he'll be marked out the game, Greg Laidlaw.
Well, here he is again. He's already kicked a conversion and a penalty and scored a try. Oh, straight between the sticks with that conversion. 17 points to 3, and the clocks tell us we've only played 8.5 minutes.
You know the difference as well, Bill, you know, 17-3 up Edinburgh, but for the first time when players are going in under the posts for a score, you can see arms getting raised. There's a bit of noise in the stadium tonight. I've always been a critic, you know, of having it at Murrayfield because it's a huge, huge stadium if it's not full, but all of a sudden tonight there's just a bit of atmosphere around this, isn't there?
Well, they got Stuart McAnally out the road there, and it was Talay who took the catchy, and I was waiting for you to say it.
Yeah, he did. He swapped places with the Fijian, so he didn't have to be under that ball when it came down, and a good job too, I think.
There's a lot of off-the-ball stuff. A knock-on by Chabal. Here's Thompson up from full-back in the Edinburgh 10, left of halfway. Tremendous pace Edinburgh playing it, and they're full of running and full of enterprise. My goodness, it's 100 miles an hour. Jacobson, that slowed it up a wee bit. Still in the Edinburgh 10. Thompson changes direction from Laidlaw's pass. There's Leonard steering the ship. Kicks long and diagonal. Caught on this side by Imhoff, the Argentine cap, who scored such a wonderful try against Cardiff last week. Knocked on though there by Nick De Luca on the French 10. Here they come again. Wisniewski, the fullback, coming up into the line and puts boot to ball, going for territory. Back there very quickly went Tim Visser. It's a long gallop back, and Visser kicks long and finds touch on the Edinburgh 22. Wow, end-to-end stuff. Let me just repeat, if you've just tuned in to BBC Radio Scotland's Friday Night Rugby Sports Sound, Edinburgh have already scored 2 tries. The game's only 10 minutes old. The score is 17-3. Try scorers, Visser and Laidlaw. Laidlaw has converted one, pardon me, converted 2 and added a penalty. And it's all getting to me. Richie.
It's all on. I tell you, it's funny though. It's great to see, the Edinburgh pack just going past the ball. You've watched the World Cup where so many times it was kind of nullified or just stopped on the ball. But the minute you get 2 or 3 players past it, keeps the whole game moving very, very quickly indeed. Edinburgh playing with a lot of pace and urgency at the moment.
Hernandez went in and then laid it off wide. Here come the French again. A wee chip through by Imhoff is going to use his pace, but it's gone into touch in goal. Back they come, and it'll be a 22 metres drop out. It just shows you they've been on the receiving end already, but they can be very dangerous in attack.
They can be dangerous, Bill, but fascinating. Racing had a line out around about the Edinburgh 22. They chucked it to the middle and they tried to drive the ball, and Edinburgh knocked players to the ground and pushed the maul backwards, and Racing had to play the ball. So first blow, well, first 2 blows obviously to Edinburgh on the scoreboard, but that was a really big moment. That was an important moment for the Edinburgh forwards there.
Harry Leonardon, the young 19-year-old Edinburgh standoff. 28 points he's scored already this season. Chabal gets the ball from the Edinburgh kick-off. Laurie gives it outside there, and that was the big fella Leo, John Leo. Here's the wee scrum half, Laurie trying to have a go himself. Oh, a lovely wee offload out the back of his hand. Still in the Edinburgh 10, left of halfway. The Frenchman beginning to crank it up. Here they go down the far side. It's so bad, and that's a brilliant try there for the French. Racing Metro score, and it's going to be Bousses, I think, who's got the score, but we'll have a wee confirmation of that. The point is they've got the try. It's 17 points to 8, and that was a try up the far side, the Edinburgh left flank.
It just shows you, Bill, you can't switch off at all from this side, and if they're going to take a chance, they're going to take it, and it's going to be clinical, and that's exactly what happened there. Just a missed tackle back inside, some great hands on the very, very tight side, playing it literally from touchline to the 5, and really just got around the Edinburgh defenders. They'll be disappointed with that one, and really a run in from about 25-30 metres out.
They always had extra. So
here's the conversion then. The conversion just pops over between the posts. 17 points to 10. The scoreboard fairly clicking over. Ian.
Yep, they always had men over the Richie, and it was just very, very quick hands that did it. It was very skillful hands, out then back in again. They made use of the extra men. Absolutely brilliant hands. And in that play, Wisniewski, the full-back, I think got a whack in the face, and he's been getting treatment, but he's up and playing again.
I think it was So Bad who got the try. That's not a comment on his play or anything, that's his name. Julien Sobad. Here come the French then, having received Edinburgh's halfway dropout. Now they're playing fast rugby. Chabal leads out again, away to the midfield, and it's Chavancy this time with ball still in that area between the French 22 and their 10. Edinburgh putting in the tackles, trying to win the turnover. They've won 1 or 2 already, but not this time. Here come France again, ball in hand, trying to pick it up. Lovely offload there again. French big forwards in it. Edinburgh having to do the tackling on the French 10, the Racing Metro 92 10 metres line. And then along the line it comes. Huge miss pass. Along the line to should be Leo. Out on this side is Bousses. Wild ball back there for the French. Full back, Wisniewski throws it into midfield, and then it's taken up by Leroux, the wing forward. Still the French have ball. They've got 3 men out on this side. Talay is marking them. Great tackle by Talay on John Leo. Out the ball goes again along the French 3/4 line. Great pass there by Hernandez. Away goes So Bad, getting away from Roddy Grant. It's going to be desperate times here. There's another brilliant French score. Oh, that is wonderful. That's tremendous rugby, done at pace. So as I said, the scoreboard clicking over, 17-15.
Bill, I don't know if you've noticed what Racing are doing. They have always got men wide. Edinburgh are defending a little bit too narrow, and Racing have got a block of players on the far touchline, a block of players on this touchline, and only 3 or 4 in the middle of the field. It's a completely bizarre way of attacking. Never seen it before in my life, and that's how they're getting around. They're going around the side, around the edge of Edinburgh, because Edinburgh are defending too narrowly.
Yeah, they're doing it very well, and in some ways, Racing aren't even taking any contact. There's times that they're literally running a line straight at the Edinburgh defence, then at the last minute they're just turning and popping the ball away, pretty much like the old French style where they never used to take any contact. And so far you've seen 2 tries that have been absolutely top drawer from the French side. Great clinical passing, very, very accurate, done at pace, everything on the front foot, very difficult to defend, but that's the one key thing at the moment Edinburgh are going to have to sort out is the defence.
That try was actually made by the 14 coming in and going past your friend Sobad, Bill.
I think it was Imhoff who got the score, but here is Wisniewski, the fullback, wide out, kicking for the conversion and being successful. Would you believe it? The clock tells us they've played 15 minutes and it's level at 17 points each. Unbelievable.
There's so many talking points already, with 15 minutes gone, we've really not seen a lot of forward play, to be honest, gents. We're sitting up here watching it and it's been very, very open from the French. Ian's absolutely spot on. There was a time even before they scored that try, they must have 4 men on this near side, which they could have actually put the hands through, and Edinburgh really having to start defending slightly wider, or they're going to leave themselves pretty isolated on those far out channels.
17 points to Edinburgh, 17 to Racing Metro. Thompson gathers the high kick ahead. Away up the far side goes Laidlaw, leading it inside. Visser goes again, this dynamo of a man. Oh, and the pass didn't go to hand, knocked on by Edinburgh, hacked on again by Edinburgh as the Frenchman realised the referee is signalling a scrummage. And had Tim Visser's pass gone to hand, gents, who knows what would have happened?
Possibly the one player he actually didn't want standing in there was Jeff Cross, actually, out of everybody on the field, if he'd maybe just stepped back. But again, some good little interlink. It's like both teams have actually forgotten to defend, especially off the sort of first phase attack.
I was going to say exactly that, Richie. Both teams have left the defence at home. They've decided just whoever scores the most tries is going to win this game. Go out there and get on with it, fellas.
Great for the crowd, not good for the heart, Bill.
Oh. Well, I think I've got my voice back. Somehow or other, my voice deserted me at that first Argentinian try. I think the 2 try scorers are Sobad and Imhoff. I'm not sure about that. They were away on the far side and difficult to see. Penalty here then for a scrum collapse by Edinburgh, and it goes to the French side. So they're just 10 metres outside the Racing Metro 22 metres area.
We've not got the beauty of replay there, but again, I sometimes think that it can be a real hit in the dark, because obviously Edinburgh have been under a bit of pressure in the scrummage in this first 17-18 minutes of this game, and all of a sudden it sometimes makes it very easy for a referee to pick the dominant side as the one that wins the penalty. I'm not too sure about that one, to be honest.
It's a worrying sign though, Bill. That's the second scrum, and that's the second penalty against Edinburgh. So, 100% penalties at scrums so far, I'm afraid.
And it's Koitsia, the South African, against Alan Jacobson on that side that seems to be the problem. Right, here's the throw in then for the Frenchman, Noiro, Benjamin Noiro with the throw. Up goes the big fella, John Leo. Along the back it comes. Laurie trying to feed out as a wee scrum half would do, and doing it very well. 5 metres outside Edinburgh's 22. The pick up there by Noiro, the hooker again. And then Chabal, hair flying, tries to battle his way through. Here comes Hernandez. Caught by Harry Leonard, capsized right on his backside. Great scrabble for ball. Wisniewski with a drop goal attempt. It would be his first of the season. Think it went wide. The referee says no drop goal there. And so, there we are. Wisniewski, quite ambitious from the Edinburgh 10 metres line, something like 48 to 50 metres. Hasn't dropped a goal this season. So that would have been his first. But he has kicked a penalty and a conversion this evening, so he's obviously on kicking form. Leonard again, Ian.
Yeah, but I think that might just have dipped below the crossbar actually. I think it was all right for direction, just didn't quite have the legs.
Here comes Hernandez with a high kick. Underneath it is Imhoff. The pick up and turn away by Jim Thompson. Tries to sell the dummy and cut through between 2 upcoming tacklers. Laidlaw gets it away to Leonard. He's outside his 22, boot the ball. Chabal plays football with it, traps it with his left foot, picks up, scoops out the wildest pass you've seen for a while. Beautifully picked on the half volley by Wisniewski, the fullback. He's kicked too long into the Edinburgh in-goal area. Back there is Jim Thompson, and he will touch it down for the 22. Richie Gray.
It's one of these games tonight, Bill, where if the French can put a couple of phases together, all of a sudden they look dangerous on the third and the fourth. It's like they kind of hold the breath moment. Some of their wings are coming in off their wings very well. They're offering another pair of hands to get the ball from. Very, very difficult. It just seems to be, I don't know, Ian, do you not think it's just that quick? The minute they're on attack, everything just seems to speed up. It's real, and it's a fantastic night for it. There's not a bit of wind, there's no rain at all, there's no wet ball. This is going to be 100 miles an hour stuff. It's going to be the team, possibly fitness, is going to take a huge part tonight. This might
be some sort of record Heineken score, 103 versus 97 or something.
Well, everybody in the stadium would be hoping that it was Edinburgh with 103. What a kick ahead by Racing Metro. Oh, and Jim Thompson, the ball tracked the touchline on the far side. It didn't go anywhere like going over into touch. It just followed the line of the touchline, and Thompson had to watch, hoping it would cross the try line for the touchdown. It didn't. Eventually he had to gather and run into touch. Line out, 5 metres away from Edinburgh's try line. Racing Metro with the throw in. And it's Benjamin Noiro, who's had one cap for the French against Fiji last year, who's about to throw in, the French hooker. There's a wee confab, a wee tete-a-tete, as they say.
It's Matt Scott who's down, Bill. I think he's coming off the field, I'm afraid. Matt Scott looks to be holding a hip or something like that. And
that's a blow.
He's had some treatment, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And he's walking over towards us, towards the west stand here, and he's not looking too cheery with life.
James King would be the replacement.
Enough, James King's on the field.
That's a blow for Edinburgh then, because Matt Scott's been one of the successes of recent weeks, has he not?
Yes, absolutely. He's not flash, but he does the right thing at the right time. He looks a beautifully balanced runner. He's strong in defence. I think everyone's talking about Harry Leonard. I think Matt Scott's a more interesting proposition, to be honest with you.
Chabal takes the tap down from the line out. They're only 2 or 3 metres away. And this big burly French pack are trying to bully their way over the try line now. They're only inches away. Noiro waits at the back.
Referee's got his arm out for a penalty, I think.
He has indeed. It's the hooker. Noiro, who tries to burrow his way through. Then a long pass to the fullback. Here's Imhoff. Great try here for Wisniewski. Oh, lovely rugby there by the French. Superb try. The French go ahead for the first time in the match. Edinburgh 17, Racing Metro 22.
Well, James King had about 2 or 3 seconds to get himself into the mode of the pace of this game, and again an extra player makes all the difference. Really, the Edinburgh defence didn't pick him up at all, which gave an extra set of hands in there and pretty much an easy run in. It wasn't a difficult try at all. Well finished off, good hands, and the French players, they always have the ball in front of the man, allowing them on the front foot. You hardly ever see them checking. When this lot get the ball, they're very, very dangerous indeed. But it's been shown though that if Edinburgh don't get the defensive set up right, they could be in for a bit of trouble.
But Wisniewski scored that try, and he had a spare man outside him he didn't even need. That's a very worrying sign. So even if Edinburgh had one more defender out there to tackle the try scorer, there was still a man waiting on the wing. Worrying times.
Here's Wisniewski, the try scorer, then with the conversion attempt on the Edinburgh 22, 5 metres in from touch, down to our left. That's a nice kick. Oh, is it just? Yes, it's faded in. It's in. So 17 points to 24. The French go even further ahead after that dramatic start in which Tim Visser scored a try after only 38 seconds. Edinburgh were at one stage 17 points to 3 ahead. A try by Visser, a try by Laidlaw, a couple of conversions and a penalty. And then the French woke from their slumbers. Tries by Sobad, Imhoff and Wisniewski. Suddenly, Edinburgh trail. Edinburgh 17, Racing Metro 24. 23 minutes have been played.
If you just watch here at the moment, you look at Edinburgh defending really, really tight. There's still 3, 4, 5 players outside the last Edinburgh defender. They've got to be careful there, because a miss pass, a long 10-metre miss pass, is going to give a whole group of French players a chance against pretty much 2 Edinburgh defenders.
Yeah, I mean, there was 5 Racing defenders hanging around about the 15-yard line, 15 yards in from the touchline here. And poor Lee Jones, if the ball had come out instead of going to touch and then a penalty for Racing, if the ball had come out, I'm not sure which one Lee Jones would have chosen to tackle.
Well, they're playing with great width, and also, you look and see where the French have scored their tries about. They've always been scored out wide, and you can see exactly how they're playing. They're pretty much playing with 2 pods of 4 or 5 men and 2 or 3 good long passes in the middle of the field, just pretty much like a pendulum going from side to side, and very difficult to defend, especially when the French are on top of the game as they are at the moment.
This is Friday Rugby Sports Sound coming to you on 810 medium wave, BBC Radio Scotland. If you'd like to get in touch with us on the programme, the text number is 80295. Text us on 80295, or you can email us on sportsound@bbc.co.uk. sportsound@bbc.co.uk. Here come the French again. Hernandez weaving all sorts of magic. Guillaume Bousses not having the best of moments there. And the Edinburgh have turned them over. Laidlaw puts the long downfield kick in. Bouncing in play, then skipping over the touchline. Tons of time there for Imhoff and for Wisniewski, the left winger and the fullback, to make sure that the ball did go into touch. No chance of Edinburgh regaining possession from it. It's a French throw-in. We are right behind the hooker, looking right down the line.
The key thing Edinburgh have to do at the moment is they have to try and slow down the ball at breakdown any way they can. Keep your hands on it. Try and drag the ball back to you. Just anything to try and slow it up slightly so you can get your defensive line reorganised again. That's the big problem here, Bill, at the moment. The French are getting that ball away from the breakdown lightning quick, which is not allowing that Edinburgh defence to pretty much get back into position.
Two-handed tap down for the French by Karim Ghezal, the big number 4 lock forward. Who's partnering Lionel Nallet. Long downfield kick now by Racing Metro, picked up by Lee Jones. Jim Thompson's got it. Thompson thought about passing out to Visser. He's kicked high, hasn't gone very far forward. He's managed to get it a second time, and he drives on. Now the black and red shirted Edinburgh players come to help him. Leonard, out it goes to Jacobson. That was, I thought myself, if it wasn't forward, it was very close to it from Harry Leonard to Alan Jacobson. And John Lacey of Ireland, who's tonight's referee, was right on the spot, and he indicates forward pass. Scrum down, Racing Metro ball in the Edinburgh 10 metres area. I look at the scoreboard and I look at the clock. 26 minutes played, Edinburgh 17, Racing Metro 24. Tell you what, if you were late in arriving, it was all over.
No, you're quite right. No, I'm just interested to see if we can get a scrum without getting a penalty at the same time. It'll be first in this game. Although, in fairness, we've only had 2 scrums. This is the third, I think.
The thing I like about the French, look at the way they're lining up here. A scrum, centre field. The Edinburgh defence are always having to be on edge to where they're going to go. They've set up, obviously, with 4 one side, 2 in the other. Everybody's set up flat. They've not dropped anybody back deep. They've got options all over the place. Lee Jones is speaking to DeLuca. Everybody trying to size each other up where it is. Every single one of the Racing backline, to be honest, are elusive runners, good passers of the ball as well. And again, Chabal picks for the first time tonight.
3-2, 2 against 1, and away goes that wee fellow on the right wing, Julien Sobad, who's played for France at 7-a-sides and certainly knows his way around the rugby field. He may well have played here at Murrayfield in the IRB 7s. I haven't been able to check that one out, but he's up against it as far as size is concerned, because his 12.5 stones are up against the 16, almost 17 stones of Tim Visser. But Sobad is a clever wee player, as we've seen already.
It's quite ironic, Bill, that they keep going down Visser's wing, to be honest, because it's one thing that Visser has said, openly himself, that his defence has got to improve, and he's had a bit of pressure on him already tonight.
Here's another run. That was Sobad coming in from that faraway right wing. His hands may have touched it and knocked it on. Referee hesitates. Beautifully won for Edinburgh by James King. Away comes Nick DeLuca. DeLuca trying to get the ball away and keep the play going. Roddy Grant is first in there. Laidlaw crouches down, scoops it away. Leonard puts boot the ball away behind the figure on the far side, which is Benjamin Nwaro, the Racing Metro hooker. And racing up there for Edinburgh was Netani Talai, the Fijian, who's playing at number 6 tonight, wing forward for Edinburgh. It's a line out. It's going to be a French throw in. And they're back into the French half of the field.
it was interesting there. I think Harry Leonard was kicking that cross-ball kick, not to go into touch, but I think he was hoping that Visser was going to chase it instead of Talai. But for one reason or another, the communication lines got broken, and Visser was hanging back, and he gave a few quizzical looks to his fly half after the ball went out, I'm afraid.
Here's the throw in then by the French. Beautiful tap back there. That was Leo who got it. Here's Hernandez. Out it goes again, another wild pass. They're not always finding their runners with their passes, the French team, which is perhaps just as well for Edinburgh, because behind the scrum the French have shown that they have some very, very dangerous runners. Line out on the French 10 to the right of halfway. Ross Ford's going to throw. Here's Richie Gray.
It's quite interesting, Bill. You know, that was a shortened line out by Racing, and you know they had good numbers in behind their first line of attack, which makes it very difficult for the Edinburgh defensive line, because there's about 2 or 3 options sitting on the back of Hernandez there. Hernandez obviously threw a woeful pass, but very difficult to sometimes pick up when you've got 3 men coming from behind that French 10, offering on the left, right and in behind. You've got to be really, really sharp in defence, but a poor pass obviously nullified that attack.
It's interesting what we've talked about, Racing throwing the ball wide, and what Edinburgh are doing is a very traditional defence, which is up and then out. But what Racing are doing and getting around them is they're just too quick. So by the time that Edinburgh are starting running out to cover the outside channels, Racing have passed them already, and that's where the problem is. And the last time they tried it, Edinburgh were too clever. They were pushing across much earlier, much quicker, and they got three men tackling the wing, and they ripped the ball off them, and that's where we got the turnover.
Right, well, Shabal has gone off for repairs to a cut beside his eye. Another big fellow, Jone Kovu Nailiko, has come on. He's another 18-stoner, big second row forward. So there's certainly nothing lost in terms of the physicality. Leroux, the wing forward, takes it up for the French. They're still on the French side of halfway. Just Hernandez doesn't look as confident as he used to. He's a wee bit hesitant. Gets caught by Edinburgh, but the Frenchmen still get it away. That time it was Chavancy with a left-footed kick downfield. Lee Jones is after it, and Jim Thompson is there with him. Into the Edinburgh in-goal area, down at the left-hand end it goes. And Lee Jones touches it down for a 22 drop kick.
You always laugh, don't you, when you can see all the Edinburgh players looking at Shabal going off, and then this absolute man mountain of a human being comes on. I think I've seen a pair of shorts bigger than that in my life. I think it looked like a marquee. I think they must be wearing instead of a pair of shorts. But some huge men. But in saying that, you know, we discussed at the top of the programme how it was going to be a real battle up front, and in some ways the game's been that quick that it really hasn't happened yet.
Drop out by Leonard, the catch and the drive by Nally in the Edinburgh 10 metres area. Laurie gets it away. Here's the big fella, Nailiko, the big lock forward replacement coming on. Takes a bit of stopping. And then this wee hooker, Noiro, who's a real buzz bomb and a very urgent sort of player. Knocked over there by Edinburgh's defence. Here come the French again. This is dangerous. Here goes Chavancy. Chavancy clean through. Oh, that's brilliant running by Henri Chavancy for a try behind the posts. Right down this touchline. Jim Thompson couldn't get at him, but that is the 4th try for the French, and they will be delighted. That puts them ahead now at Edinburgh 17, Racing Metro 29.
That move was started by a very sweet offload from Lionel Nallet, the absolute monster of a second row, French international. He went to ground, just popped it off, and the move carried on, and the move just went quicker than Edinburgh's defenders could, and in the end it came down to the wee centre who scored it up against Greg Laidlaw, and poor Laidlaw just didn't have the legs. So it's trying times for Edinburgh, shall we say.
It would be a worry, to be honest. You know, Billy McGinty at the moment, who's the Edinburgh defensive coach, they've scored tries, and listen, you know, they've scored at pace. I'll let you take the conversion first, Bill.
Here's Wisniewski then, ready to pop it over, and he does that without any bother. So just on the half hour, the French reach their 30-point mark. It's Edinburgh 17, Racing Metro 31.
Yeah, to come back, I think, you know, defensively, you're just a bit cringing in some ways of your defensive coach, because you can have as good a system as you want, but you've got to make the tackles. And Greg Laidlaw there, I could just see him punching the grass. He was absolutely gutted that he'd missed that one, and it was a real stonewall tackle. He should have nailed the lad. Didn't happen. But the problem is they're actually creating tries far too easy for me, especially out wide. There's a lot of space there. The French players are running well off the ball. They're very accurate, and really Edinburgh have to watch here, because they're still in this game, but now you're looking at 17 points to 31 within 5 minutes. Bang, you can sometimes be left for dead. So Edinburgh, next 5 minutes right up to half time, very, very important.
Harry Leonard dropped out. Esteban Lozada, who's the Argentine lock playing for Edinburgh, went up and barged right into the French players as the ball was coming down. Penalty against him, and Hernandez pops the ball about 30 metres down the field into the Edinburgh half, beyond the Edinburgh 10 metres line. So they're now about maybe 35 metres away from Edinburgh's try line. East stand side, which is pretty full in the bottom tier tonight, I have to say, and there's a lot of spectators at both ends of the ground behind the posts standing, and they'll be standing 2 or 3 deep on this side, the Great West Stand side as well. So good crowd here tonight.
The 33 minutes gone. Edinburgh 17, Racing Metro 31. This could easily be a kind of 60 points to 30 type game, and is that good attack or is it poor defences?
Talai puts the tackle in on Nailico. Here come the French again. Edinburgh have had a problem getting their hands on the ball the last 10 minutes or so. Look at the speed, they move it out. Bang, in goes the big fella. That was Esteban Lozada. Up very quickly, and they forced the French pass to be a bit wild, and it's gone into touch. East stand side, which is Tim Visser's left wing.
If you keep an eye on Nick DeLuca, Bill, you'll see what Edinburgh are trying to do to stop Racing going wide. They're throwing DeLuca up in the 13 channel very, very fast, a sort of curved defence, and to stop the outside ball. But it's fine when DeLuca's in place, but in second or third or fourth phase, nobody else is doing it. Lozada did it then, came flying out the line, forced the pass, and that's the second line out in succession that Edinburgh have lost.
Could have been knocked on there by the French, Ian. If it is, it'll be an Edinburgh scrum. Yes, it is. It's knocked on by Racing Metro in the line out. And so Ross Ford and his jumpers are up against it, maybe, in that particular line out. Lozada and Gilchrist are the 2 second row jumpers for Edinburgh, and Ghezal and Nally are the Frenchmen. So here's the scrummage right on Edinburgh's 10. 17-31 in Metro's favour. That's the scoreline. Edinburgh 17, Racing Metro 31. 34 and a half minutes have been played. Penalty to Edinburgh. Scrum collapse on the far side. Maybe engaging too quickly.
Yep.
Peter Wright would be telling us chapter and verse. He'd be blaming the referee as well.
But it's interesting there, because Jeff Cross, okay, we know that Edinburgh is struggling a little bit in the scrum, but Jeff Cross is standing a good yard away from the Racing scrum when they're setting up, and he's letting them get a great big hit. Now, Jeff needs to close that gap so they're not getting the hit, because he just only needs to hold his end up for 5 seconds to get the ball in and out. He's got to close that gap and not let Racing get the hit.
Good kick. Takes the play to within about 7 or 8 metres of the French 22. Now here's Ross Ford to the throw-in. Let's see if Lozada or Gilchrist can get it. Oh, well done. I think it was Gilchrist. And there's Visser straight in. Visser looking for support. There's nobody with him. Great tackle by Leroux. Then Talay tries to go. He's caught there by the French cover. Brought out this side. Big Gilchrist has a batter at them. They're 7 metres now short of the Racing Metro try line. Laidlaw again, moving it to the right. Inside it goes. Gilchrist, Talay is there. Laidlaw moves it wide this time to the left. Leonard has a wee show himself. Trying to go through was Lee Jones. It didn't work. They've got to recycle. Edinburgh with a very good attacking position now. Ross Ford carries, sets it back. We hope. Here it comes, very slow. Laidlaw appeals to the referee. 3.5 minutes to go to half time. Bit slow for Roddy Grant as he's caught there by Ghezal, the big French lock, with that grand head of hair. Laidlaw out to Talay. Oh, and he's almost through. Would you believe it? Through between 2 tacklers. Picked up by another forward to within 5 metres now. Now he's got Ross Ford standing at standoff. Up comes Jeff Cross. Ford takes it in. Edinburgh just wanted, and then Jeff Cross goes forward. Does he manage to get there? He's a couple of metres short. Ford is battling. He's wrapped up by Tugahala. Laidlaw almost gets through on his own. They're a half a metre short. They need this try to get back in contention before half time. Here they go again. The referee says it's all right. The French have turned it over, I think. Great counter-rucking by Racing Metro. Wisniewski, the fullback, stands statuesque in his own in-goal area. Here's the pass back. Ooh, it's a bouncer. Wisniewski has to hurry. but he's all calm and cool. Caught by Lee Jones. Quick one into Thompson. Thompson's got 3-2 on that side. Puts the kick in for... Is it Visser again? Is he going to make... Oh, the ball beats them both. It was Visser against Laurie, the scrum half. Visser was winning hands down, but the ball beat them both.
You know, if you're in neutral after 37 minutes, you'd be absolutely, delighted. You've paid the money to come and watch a game like this, and there's every single talking point. I think in some ways Edinburgh are very unlucky there. They have to try and get some points on the board before half time. Fantastic counter ruck from the French, great body position. They really just picked their time. Not enough Edinburgh players in over the breakdown, a metre short of that French line, and it was blitzed really. So the French will be delighted with that one, as they're absolutely... Chabal comes back onto the field, but Edinburgh are throwing everything at the French side at the moment to try and get some points on the board before the 40 minutes is up.
Yeah, if Edinburgh don't win this one, I think they'll look back on that little passage of play there, Bill, and they'll be kicking themselves, because a little bit more patience and you think they would surely have found a way through. The Racing defence, it's not great, is it? Let's be honest. Talai nearly scored there. Greg Laidlaw nearly scored. I mean, there are gaps if you're patient and you just take your time.
Tim Visser and Greg Laidlaw are the two Edinburgh try scorers. Couple of minutes to half time here at Murrayfield. This is Heineken Cup Rugby, Group 2, Pool 2, and it's round 2 of the Heineken Cup. And it's Edinburgh against Racing Metro 92 of Paris. 17-31 in Metro's favour as half-time looms. Clock ticking on, they're into the second last minute before the interval. Jacobson at the tail of the line out. Ford stands guard. Beautiful jump and take by Gezal. Oh, and they're trying to run it out. Edinburgh might have a chance here of a turnover.
That was a forward pass, I thought, Bill.
There was an obvious forward pass, which the officials missed. And the problem is that Edinburgh have got a line... Racing had a line out there 5 metres from their own try line, and Edinburgh didn't put anyone into the air to challenge.
Visser caught the ball, whipped it into Thompson. Here comes Lee Jones. Jones trying to get outside them. Jones is running very well. Finally he's brought down there by Bousses. Grant plays scrum half, then Laidlaw. Oh. There's a man in midfield. Here's Jeff Cross with that wee sidestep and shuffle that Richie Gray taught him so many years ago at Netherdale. And then it goes back from the ruck. Leonard puts the kick in, bit indecisive. Lovely pass back there from Laurie to Wisniewski, and he belts it downfield. 1 minute to half time. Jones again. Edinburgh chucking everything they can at the Frenchman. A wee sidestep and a stumble. Here comes Laidlaw with a long pass to Harry Leonard. He's got the big fella Gilchrist beside him, and he's wrapped up now by John Leo, the line side wing forward. Laidlaw brings it back this way. I think he should have gone the other side. He had McAnally there. He had Roddy Grant there. Ross Ford picks up. 30 seconds to half time, and Edinburgh trailing by 14 points, but they're going to get a penalty. Now, I think they'll want to take the 3 points.
Yeah, they need the 3 there. Greg Laidlaw there were men over on the left-hand side, the faraway side, the east stand, and he just picked the wrong option there, I'm afraid. He came back where all the Racing defenders were, and then he was tackled by a Racing man who I thought had come from an offside position. The referee obviously thought otherwise because he didn't give anything.
It seems to me they should get the ball out to Tim Visser's wing, because he creates havoc in the opposition defence every time he gets near it.
Absolute danger, and the great thing he's got, Bill, the great attribute, is he can pretty much run, straight in between two French defenders and absolutely barnstorm his way through them. There's very, very rarely you'll ever see him getting knocked back. Very, very strong man, but Laidlaw with a chance of 3 points, and at least it takes them up to the 20 before half time.
Here he is then, 32 metres away from the crossbar, bang in front of the post, a wee chip. Yeah, turns away quite happily because that's successful. So, there we are. We reach the turn here at Murrayfield, a pulsating first half in which we've seen 6 tries, 2 by Edinburgh, 4 by Racing Metro. The half-time score, Edinburgh 20, Racing Metro 31.
Yeah, half-time at Murrayfield here. Edinburgh trailing Racing Metro. Ian Morrison, Heineken Cup games are always tight.
This is Barbarian's end of season Easter tour. I actually went on one of those with Frank Manel once, and yes, it looked a bit like this, albeit a slightly slower pace. Bizarre, completely bizarre game. Richie and I were both saying beforehand, Racing were definitely going to use their enormous forward pack to bludgeon their way through the Edinburgh defence, and I don't think the forwards have touched it once. They've gone wide at every opportunity, and they're running some beautiful angles. They're getting around the Edinburgh defence, and they're doing it with brilliant handling when it comes off, and just sheer pace. Do
you think that the early try for Edinburgh has actually dictated the way the game has gone? Because such an explosive start to the game, the players seem to have got into their heads there's only one way to play this game, and that's at breakneck speed.
Yeah, no, Racing were chasing this game from 38 seconds in, weren't they? But they've done it very well, so fair play to them. But I've got a feeling they came here determined to play this way, and you know, this is the way they're playing. Ball in hand, wide, lots of pace on it, and keep it moving.
Disappointing from an Edinburgh point of view, but it's the way that we love to watch French teams play rugby. I was looking at their back line when the ball came out at one particular point, and I'm sure that there are good names for those codes that they were and lines that they were running, but it just looked like jiggery pokery that was going on. There was guys swapping positions as the ball's moving across. Difficult to defend against that.
You know, so I've written a few things down here, Jim, and you know, first of all, Edinburgh have scored 20 points in the first 40 minutes. You know, you look at that and you think, great effort. Now, was that fantastic attack and play? Was it poor defence? I could say that about both sides. We've seen some fantastic tries already in the first 40 minutes here tonight at Murrayfield, but in some ways, yeah, great attack, but also there's been some defensive howlers. I still think, you know, myself and Ian discussed the forward onslaught. I still think that will come about. There is no way that you can keep a pace up like this for another 40 minutes, and I just thought with 5 or 6 minutes go towards half time there, all of a sudden it just seemed to sort of lose the sting a little bit. It'll be very interesting to see if the two teams can come back out in the second half and play at the same pace and intensity, because that has been absolutely 100 miles an hour stuff for the first 40 minutes.
Just some latest scores from the Heineken Cup. Northampton 9, Scarlets 14, Cardiff 13, London Irish 6, and Claremont 14, Ironi 3. And a text in 80295 or email sportsound@bbc.co.uk. It's so good having both of you making a real picture of the Edinburgh game over the radio. Excellent. That must be you two that are talking about. Anyway, one thing that you do, we've been talking about, his name is never out of the press when we're talking about what Scotland's future, and it's Tim Visser. What's going to happen with Tim Visser? When is Tim Visser? 38 seconds into the game, and yet again, it's Tim Visser that comes up with the goods.
Yep, and he came off his wing there, and actually, fair play to the number 7, who made an amazing tackle back, wasn't it, Leroux? Because Visser, I think, thought he was, home and hosed. He came off his wing, took a pop ball in the middle of the field, got through the first line of defence, and was sort of running a diagonal line, a very dangerous diagonal line that might have taken him to the try line, when all of a sudden he was tackled from behind by this number 7, who's obviously pretty swift. And he could have got another one if Jim Thompson's kick at the death there had been a little bit deeper rather than a little bit shallower. So he's just a very, very dangerous man. 12th of June he qualifies for Scotland. He will almost certainly travel to the South Seas, Australia. The Australia test he's not qualified. I think for the other 2 tests on that trip against Samoa, Fiji and Samoa, I think Visser will have 2 caps by the time he gets back home.
Well, if you're looking for a reaction from tonight's game, tomorrow morning Sport Nation has Tim Visser as a special guest. John Beattie will also be looking ahead to the big tennis end-of-year tournament in London, debating women's boxing and previewing Scotland's involvement in next week's World Cup of Golf in China. That's Sport Nation at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Sebastian Chabal, the best and the worst of Sebastian in one game, which I think is probably par for the course with him. Lovely offload, and then he sends out a pass, and he looked as though he was shoveling coal at one point instead of a pass. I mean, it was
right off the left hand,
yeah,
I think it looked like a fish supper, didn't it, that he was thrown across to somebody on a Saturday night. Left with a big gash on the head, the old blood pouring from the wound. He'd already been emptied twice by the Edinburgh defence. Then all of a sudden, pick and go, and the hair's flying, and the beard, and the elbows, and the knees, you name it. It's like a kind of cartoon character. But exactly as we said before the game, Shabal could be an absolute game breaker for you, or he could create a couple of howlers. It's as simple as that. He's one of these sort of enigmas of a player, isn't he?
I was just relieved to see his blood was red, Richie. I thought it might have come out green.
Some sort of alien.
From an Edinburgh point of view, it's difficult to look at the successes because they're trailing in this game and they started off so well. Looking at Jim Thompson, I thought Jim Thompson's had a decent game. He's fielded the ball well, deep. The kick, as you say, wasn't quite deep enough, Ian, but it was presence of mind to put it in the right area for Tim Visser. He's had quite a good game. He's played well for Edinburgh in the last few games.
Thompson has been quite impressive. You're absolutely right. I thought he had a quiet game against London Irish. Today he's been a little bit more assertive. He came up, he made that kick. It wasn't a great kick, the up and under, but he did retain possession. So, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think Thompson's definitely one of the positives for Edinburgh, but they just need to tighten up that defence.
Yeah.
Who's impressed you in the Edinburgh side, Richie?
Yeah, defence is, that's the key thing. They've got to make sure they don't leak in tries as easily as they have done. On saying that, there's been some outstanding skill shown by the French team, so you have to sort of kind of compare the both. But there's been times they've been caught wanting out wide, especially when the French have been bringing extra players into that line. I think Ian mentioned about halfway through the commentary in the first half there was actually 2 players over on one of their backline calls where they scored the try. My concern is they have chosen to go down Visser's wing on a number of occasions. Obviously we don't have the ability of replay here, but I'd like to see who missed the tackles and took the wrong men, because there'll definitely be a few absolute howlers involved in it. But the other thing too is they've just got to be very, very sharp at breakdown. The French are getting men in there in numbers, they're clearing it. Sometimes there's not even a breakdown happens because the ball's away that quickly, and the French are good at that, and Edinburgh have maybe committed too many players and all of a sudden it's a lost cause. So they've got to be very, very careful about that. If you put too many men into that breakdown, all of a sudden it allows you very short in your defensive line. So maybe just a little bit sharper in and around that area, when to put players in and when not to.
Okay, people who are looking at a modern game of rugby perhaps will not, you don't see very often that much space out wide in modern rugby. Now, it's refreshing to see in a way, but you've got two of the biggest rugby brains in Scotland here, so you should be able to work this out.
And heads possibly.
What's it's not that the ball's gone wide, it's that they have numbers out wide. So what's causing that? What's creating it?
First for me, speed at breakdown. That's the key thing, is speed from the breakdown. There's times that the French are, you'd think as an Edinburgh defender, I'm going to have to defend here, there's 2 or 3 players coming at me. So all of a sudden the Edinburgh lads dive in, and before there's even been any contact made, the ball's away. So they move the target very quickly, which all of a sudden takes 3, 4, 5 defenders right out the game, and then you move it wide into channels where there's not enough defenders and you're going to be struggling.
Yeah, I mean, they're moving the ball very quickly. Richie says they're winning it quickly, the breakdown, moving it wide. There's a lot of pace on the ball, but Edinburgh's defence is not. It's defending too narrow, which we've said. And at the very end, at the death there, on the last meaningful Racing attack, Edinburgh realised what was happening. They went up and they started shuffling out much quicker. And the net result, Jim, was that instead of the Racing scoring in the corner, 3 Edinburgh attackers clobbered the French winger. So contrast that with the time before, when Wisniewski had the winger outside him completely unmarked. Well, the 2 of them were unmarked, okay? Edinburgh were just dozing. They have got to get out wider much, much quicker. They should start wider and then start moving wider quicker. They know where the threat's coming. They know where it's coming. And that's what they've got to do. Only once I can recall when the little winger, Sobad, Bill's friend, popped up in the midfield and went around Roddy Grant. That's the only time that Racing have gone through the middle. Every other time, I think they've gone wide, and Edinburgh are just dozy. They're just sleeping. They didn't work it out until the very end. They took 30 I don't know, 35 minutes to work out what the heck was happening.
So the French have come here with a game plan,
for sure
which
they
looked
have.
at Edinburgh and said, okay, we think they'll be suspect out wide, and they've put it into place.
Yeah, they have, and what they've done is they've managed to put numbers out wide as well. It's easy going wide, but you've got to try and get numbers out there. Then you've got to have the skill level to finish it off, and to be honest, the tries that we've seen from them, especially the first couple of scores, hands, excellent, speed, and maybe it's the colour of the jerseys as well, you know, the Argentinian sort of, everything seems to be that fast from them. There was a time in the game over 15 minutes, it was like 100 miles an hour rugby, and you're chasing shadows sometimes.
Richie, what they're doing, you said this earlier, what they're doing is they're letting the ball go before the contact. You know, a lesson for all the kids out there. Don't take the contact and then try and pass. Let the ball go before the contact, because guess what? You're still in the game. And they're letting the ball, and the pace that they're putting on it, allied to the fact that they're not taking the contact, they're just running at space, and added to all the hands, the ins, the outs, it's breathtaking, and wonderful to watch, but very tough to defend.
And textbook for anybody, for any young players out there, the one great thing, taking the ball in front of you at pace. If the ball's set up in front of you and you're running onto it, I mean, that's what Tim Visser wants.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
Any back wants. They want that ball just in front of them. They can run on and they're moving at pace, difficult to defend.
It's always been a French trait. It's funny, you know, myself and Bill were coming up in the car tonight, we're talking about the World Cup, you know, different styles. Did we see many in the World Cup this year? No, I don't think we did. Most of the games were pretty samey, you know, hitting up, crash, bang, back inside, sucking in defenders. Tonight, this is like going back 20 years to watching the French play, you know, and it used to be full onslaught of blue jerseys running at you, then all of a sudden stop, you'd just about be making the biggest hit of your life, and bang, ball would be away and you'd be like 5-10 metres off the track. That's how they used to play it, and they were brilliant at it. And in some ways they're playing it very well in the first 40 minutes. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the second 40.
You're right, you said it earlier on, from a neutral point of view, this is how you want to see rugby being
great from
played.
a neutral.
Okay, this is BBC Scotland. Yeah. Edinburgh are playing here.
Look,
how do they?
The Racing are looking fantastic, and I'm sorry, but Edinburgh are playing their part. For a start, Edinburgh have got to win. What's the golden rule of rugby? You win your set piece. The golden rule of rugby. Edinburgh, I can't remember them winning a scrum, and they've lost at least 2, if not 3 lineouts, and they're not challenging Racing on their throw. Edinburgh have got to win the lineouts. Every time they don't win a set piece, they're giving up 50 metres.
Okay, Ian, you see that as the recipe for success for Edinburgh. They have to get the set piece. Richie, what about yourself? What do you see as the way back for Edinburgh in this game?
Well, put it this way, if the French side want to play that loose, then all of a sudden Edinburgh are going to have to get on top of the game. They're going to have to try and tighten up a little bit, frustrate them. The big question then is it comes forward pack to forward pack, and we've not really seen that happen in the first 40 minutes yet. Edinburgh have shown they've got 20 points on the board. They can put tries past this side, and by the way, we've not talked about the Racing defence as well, which hasn't been the greatest tonight either. I think in some ways you're going to use your threats. Lee Jones, Visser, let's see them get the ball in their hand. Let's give these boys a crack, but they've got to make sure that they get the ball quickly and into space. Simple as that.
Edinburgh's biggest crowd of the season, 5,067 into Murrayfield tonight. Can they witness an Edinburgh comeback here against Racing Metro? Your match commentator, Bill Johnson.
So we're just seconds away then, and Ian, I know you're desperate to put some comment in here just before kick-off.
Thanks, Bill. Sorry, all I was going to say was that Greg Laidlaw has been replaced by Mike Blair, and I think rather than try and slow the game up, I think Michael Bradley might be saying, right, let's play them at their own game. And I think he stuck Blair on with that in mind especially.
Right, well, we'll see what the change at scrum half makes to Edinburgh's second half performance. There's a wee pause before kick-off because one of the 3 officials tonight has lost some part of his sound equipment, his microphone or his aerial or whatever it is they have tucked into the waistband of their shorts. Edinburgh 20, Racing Metro 31, 40 minutes of action to go. There are loads of people here tonight, and I have to say it's great to see quite so many spectators, young and old here.
Doesn't make a difference, Bill, just when there's a bit of atmosphere at a game. You know, it's great to be here, and let's get them cheering with some good scores in the second half. Simple as that.
Right, here comes Edinburgh again. Owen and Talay there with the ball in hand, and he's been dispossessed, taken up by the Racing Metro forwards. Here's a lovely run now by Tugahala. Laurie, the scrum half, whips it out to Hernandez. Leo, the big Gezal, the second row boy in the road there a wee bit, but here come the fast men away out on that left-hand side. They're almost through. They're to within about 7 or 8 metres. It's a tremendous start by Racing Metro, exactly trying to do what Edinburgh did to them. However, it's stopped now in midfield, but there's an Edinburgh man offside. Penalty here to the Frenchman. About 12 metres away from Edinburgh's try line, 15 metres in from touch, eminently kickable. I think they'll call up Wisniewski, the fullback. Maybe not. Might go for touch. Oh no, the captain, Lionel Nally, says no, we're going to go for the points at goal.
Appalling start to the half there, Bill. A couple of mistakes. First, it was Talai, who caught the ball nicely from the kickoff, but then he tried a fancy one-handed offload when it wasn't on, dropped the ball. So Racing have an attacking position right under the Edinburgh posts, and then somebody jumps offside in the very, very first play. The referee was playing advantage. It was the first play. Somebody was offside, 3 points, and Edinburgh lose all the initiative.
So it is going to be a penalty at goal, and it is going to be Wisniewski who's going to kick. They've moved Greg Laidlaw to stand off, and Harry Leonard has been subbed at half-time. Mike Blair is on at scrum half. So let's see what, as I say, this new half-back partnership can produce in the second half. But at the moment, all attention on Jonathan Wisniewski as he lines up this kick at goal. Oh, it's straight and true. So there are the first points of the second half, putting the Frenchman further ahead at Edinburgh 20, Racing Metro 34.
Yeah, 14-point difference. And again, a pretty easy 3 points for the French side from just a bit of indiscipline from Edinburgh. But Laidlaw now takes a place at 10. Ian Morrison was spot on that Mike Blair's on at scrum half, so an interesting change by Bradley. Maybe just taking the youngster off, seen enough tonight. And Laidlaw now step into his familiar position really of 10 at the moment, and a great playmaker. And off they go again.
Here come the French then with Chabal latching onto that pass from Laurie, the scrum half. Edinburgh having to do the tackling. Roddy Grant goes in, so too does James King. King throws himself into the tackle. Laurie scampers round the back in a wee sort of half circle. Long kick ahead. Back covering goes Jim Thompson. A wee bit slippy underfoot there as Thompson managed to stop and gather the ball. Hoists the high Gary Owen into the evening sky. Chabal waits underneath. He dropped everything in the warm-up and he's caught that one. Now the kick downfield by Hernandez, trying to force Edinburgh back. Laidlaw covers. Number 9 in his jersey, but playing in the number 10 position. Long kick to touch. Taken there on the left wing by Imhoff. Takes it to himself and kicks long again for touch. Quite happy to force Edinburgh back. Lee Jones this time. The wee former Selkirk winger right foots the ball to touch. Finds touch just short of the halfway line. And it's going to be Racing Metro to throw in. And I think it's going to be, yes, Noiro is still on the field. I saw the replacement hooker, Bianchin, warming up, but it's still the original selection, Benjamin Noiro.
I think Jim Thompson breathed a little sigh of relief because Sebastian Chabal caught his up and under and passed the ball, which Jim was the only man in the vicinity, so I think he was vaguely relieved to see that ball move on there.
I have to say that throw-in did not look straight to me, but there we are, it's gone. Frenchmen have got it. Gezal, the lock forward, who partners big Lionel Nally, France's World Cup captain. Gezal got it, and here are the French trying to roll round the back of the line out. Now it comes out to the 3/4. Hernandez with an immaculate pick-up off his bootlaces. Kicks ahead, Thompson catches. He's tackled there by Wisniewski, just short of halfway. Blair gets it out to Laidlaw. Laidlaw, he was going to put it out, gives it instead to King, who was lying a wee bit deeper. Talai would have got a thumping if it had gone from Laidlaw. Here's Visser, the big man, floated pass. Along the line it goes to Gilchrist. Gilchrist gets a Frenchman in these pale blue and white hoops. They always remind me of the Argentinians. Oh, wild pass there. Who was that? Grant Gilchrist. James King had to stretch above head height to take it. Ford now with Jones outside him, but he decides not to pass. Sets it up. Blair again. Caught. Knocked on. Knocked on by the Frenchman. Scrum just on the French side of halfway. I can't hear what Chabal's saying, but there will be lots of ooh-la-la, and there's a lot of shoulder shrugging and palms upwards and all the rest of it. Great stuff.
I tell you, I'm going back to the ball that James King took there, because that was a brave call. a ball in above his head, 50-50. I don't think he'll be thanking. I think it was Grant Gilchrist that gave him the pass. I think he'll be looking at just about every single one of his ribs ending up in Princes Street, but he did very well, the little centre, just to bring it down, spin and keep the ball. And all of a sudden you're just hoping, I hope at the end of this game tonight we're not talking about the game of two halves, you know, because the first half 100 miles an hour, free flowing running rugby, and we have started here far more cagey than we ever saw in the first 40 minutes.
Mike Blair with the put in, Greg Laidlaw at standoff, James King and Nick DeLuca are the centres, Lee Jones and Tim Visser still in the wing, and Jim Thompson at full back. Scrummage on the halfway line, slightly into the French half, which is the left hand end, as Mike Blair pops in. Ross Ford strikes.
It's a good
Here
scrum.
It comes, good
it's
ball.
A good scrum.
Laidlaw to King. Oh, and it's hacked on now. The missed pass by Thompson over the head of Sobad. Inside it goes to Chavoncy, and Chavoncy's going to score his second. Another try for the French. 20 points to 39. Kind of wild pass at one stage. We don't get replays tonight, but there were lots of passes there. One of them went astray. The French were on it. Chavoncy scores.
Well, to be fair, it was a bit like Edinburgh's second try, wasn't it? An ugly bounce to the ball, went right over the head of the first man, but the centre backing up, and fell beautifully for him.
I thought the Edinburgh pass was a bit wild. I'm not sure.
It was, yeah. James King actually gave it, and to be honest, it was a real man in ball again. And he'd just taken one about a minute ago, and really just put a lot of air on the ball. It was as simple as that, Bill. It just literally was too high. Man missed it, kicked through. The bad bounce, and really, too many French attackers there, outnumbering the Edinburgh defence, and really a very simple score off the back of an Edinburgh mistake.
They've all looked simple.
They have
and
tonight.
That's the sign of a good attack, isn't it? They make the tries look simple.
No,
Here's Wisniewski. Sorry, Ian, you were going to say. Here's Wisniewski then with the conversion. Yeah, chips it over like a wee golf club shot. Edinburgh 20, Racing Metro 41.
I think it's going to be difficult for Edinburgh to win this game now, but I think it's very important that they don't let it run away from them, because having had a great result down in Reading last weekend, they don't want to get in the wrong end of humiliation here tonight. They don't want the 50-60 pointer. So, I think it's very important they really tighten up if they can.
Right, Laidlaw then ready with the drop restart. 21 points between the sides now. It's a long way to go for Edinburgh, but they've got plenty of time in which to do it. Kick-off wasn't regathered by Edinburgh. The Frenchmen have it. Hernandez is in all sorts of trouble, but he's got some big beefy forwards beside him, one of whom is Bernard Leroux, the wing forward. He takes it on. Bang! Great tackle there by Edinburgh, forcing Racing Metro back. They're trying to get their defence organised now as the Chabal with that ponytail of his and the wild look in his eye, head sticking out the middle of them all. Here come the Frenchmen spreading the game again. 4 men out on this side. Talay has to mark them. Now it's down to 2. The kick ahead. Tom Brown, who's come on as fullback, tries to gather and run out of trouble, but he's caught. Blair gets it away to Laidlaw. Laidlaw has he's got a sea of pale blue and white striped jerseys coming at him. And Edinburgh have suddenly lost any rhythm and any sort of composure that they had. And it's going to take a big effort to get them back into this game at all.
Yep, you see on the wide when Racing countered there from their own 22, Bill. The Edinburgh's widest men were Talay, the number 8, and Alan Jacobson, the prop.
Visser takes a wee inside pass from Laidlaw, looks for a man on the outside with his pass, but it bounced before Roddy Grant got to it. Jacobson takes it up, knocked back there, a thumping tackle by Chabal. Talay hands off one man, almost. It's Bousses, the centre, he gets him. Visser now trying to break away up the touchline. There's no room for him there, trying to keep the ball in play. It's pulled into touch. It's going to be a French throw-in just in between Edinburgh's 22 and Edinburgh's 10.
Very difficult to get on the front foot, Bill, when there's a kind of blanket of French defenders all over the top of you. That's exactly what happens, and then all of a sudden one bad pass leads to another, and you're putting your teammates under a bit of pressure. You could just about see a number of the Edinburgh players looking up to see any space. They're pretty much on their own. They actually did well to recycle a number of the balls because there was players on their own there, and the French just really swarming over the top of them and stopping Edinburgh from play at all. And it's funny, we talked about it at the start of the programme about the power and the pace, but You know, you look at some of the Racine forwards taking that ball up, and it's taken a couple of French defenders now to stop them. They're always getting past. They're 2 or 3 metres forward. Big, strong players, and it does take it out of you. You know, 49 minutes gone here, 41, 20 points to Edinburgh, 41 to Racine. A big, big ask now to try and come back into this game.
Well, that's not a straight throw, but the referee's let it go. Here goes Hernandez trying to dummy his way through. Ross Ford's got him. 5 metres short of the Edinburgh 22. Up comes Noiro, the hooker. Ian Morrison points. Maybe that was a forward pass, I don't know. And again the French have ball. This time the big lad Leroux, who's a very good player, gets half through the Edinburgh defence, but the ball goes forward from his grasp, and Edinburgh will get the scrummage.
No, it's just acres of space again, Bill. The Edinburgh players followed the ball. They left, 40 metres perhaps? Almost half the pitch, completely unguarded. And the Racing players flooded that area. They just didn't get the ball. So had it come out, maybe it would result in another try. But that's the sort of thing we're talking about. Edinburgh losing their shape very quickly in defence, I'm afraid.
Ian, can I ask you, are Edinburgh playing too much rugby in their own half, though?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Edinburgh have just got to go back to basics. Forwards have got to, punch up, keep it tight when they've got the ball, not try the fancy offloads. Just go back to basics and play some rugby. And, hopefully get back into this game by hook or by crook.
There's Stuart McAnally picking up from the Edinburgh scrum. I think that's about the first time I've mentioned him tonight, to be honest. I haven't seen much of him. And now Edinburgh concede a penalty for not releasing after the tackle. And that's either Talai or the big lad. Is that Steve Turnbull who's on? Gilchrist.
Gilchrist, and it was your flanker Leroux again. I've been massively impressed by him, Bill. He's been one of the standout. Well, I think for me, the standout forward in the Racing pack this evening. The number 7, it was him that won the turnover there. I mean, we've seen him with the ball in hand, we've seen him running, and there we saw him doing the dirty, grubby stuff at the breakdown, winning a turnover. So, massively impressed by Leroux.
And our French colleagues off to our right confirmed that it was Leroux who scored the second try for Racing Metro. After Edinburgh had given us, the most electric of starts, with Tim Visser crossing the try line in only 38 seconds. But at the moment, Edinburgh are away behind, because there are 21 points between the teams at 20 points to 41. And if Wisniewski kicks this penalty, it'll be 20-44. Wisniewski, he says, calm as you like. Yes, that's another lovely kick from the wee fullback. So, here we are. We've played 12 and a half minutes in the second half. Another penalty from Wisniewski. Edinburgh find themselves looking at a real gap between the sides now at Edinburgh 20, Racing Metro 44.
The biggest problem you've got now, Bill, is Edinburgh chasing this game, and sometimes when you're chasing a game, you'll give the 50-50 pass away. You might try something, just a little bit special to try and create some sort of play, but usually it always backfires on you, and that's where all of a sudden, sitting at 20 points to 44, Edinburgh don't want to be giving any more tries away, but really you're caught in the mind of, do you go for the 50-50 and go for the kind of miracle ball, or do you play conservative rugby? And really now they're chasing the game and they've got to score points, simple as that.
Lovely pick up of the high ball by, that was Vakatawa, the replacement centre, a big Fijian, but Edinburgh have turned it over. Chance here for Visser. And it's DeLuca going now inside to Jones. Jones over the Edinburgh 10, caught and tackled. Back it comes to Blair. Ruddy Grant gets 2 men as he gets ball, but James King is there to help him. Now Edinburgh need to make sure they get this ball away. Mike Blair to Laidlaw. Chance here for Jacobson. He's broken the tackle. Laidlaw's on his left. Tom Brown is on his right. Brown goes. There's nobody with him. Up almost to the French 22. Quick ball from Blair. King. Chance here for Lee Jones. Great tackle on the far side. Talay gets the ball away. There might have been a tackle on an Edinburgh player without possession of the ball, but the upshot of it all is that it's a line out on the far side. After that wee flurry there by Edinburgh, it's going to be a Racing Metro throw in. They wanted to take a quick one, but the referee's not having it. And it's in the Racing Metro 22.
Tom Brown's made a difference as coming at full back. That was the second time he got his hands on the ball. The first time we saw his dancing feet he's famous for. He managed to evade a couple of defenders, and then he got on the end of Alan Jacobson break, and just one man to beat. Didn't quite have the pace or the or the sidestep, I'm afraid.
Jacobson looked sharp, didn't he, when he went through the hole? Chunk going for it. There's very rare times do you ever see him actually break into clear space, and he did well there. Nice little offload. Maybe just the support was lacking there for Edinburgh. They had a split second where they could have moved that ball on, but possibly cutting back inside nullified any chances of coming back this side. But they're in the right area of the field at the moment, Bill, desperately trying to get some points.
Chance here then for Edinburgh. Noiro with a throw in. Up go the Edinburgh hands, but the Frenchmen have got it. I think it's Bignali there and Gezal, his colleague in the second row, who have got it. And then Laurie, the scrum half, threads the ball through all the outstretched arms of the Edinburgh players coming round, trying to charge down. I've just had a text from my grandson to tell me that the big game tomorrow is Kelso High School second years against Hoyk High second years. I have a grandson playing in both teams. It's going to be war.
Which scarf do you wear, Bill?
Broomlands Primary at Kelso is the place to be tomorrow, chaps. 9:30 kickoff. Here's Edinburgh then. This is a chance here for Visser. Can he get outside them? Oh, and the tackle there. A great tackle by Wisniewski. One ankle held. Tom Brown tries to go. Hernandez has got him on the French 22. Blair gets a long ball out to Talay, but he can't make any headway there. Rossford comes out to play standoff, but it goes to Laidlaw. Now James King. Finally out it goes to McInally on the far side. He tries to offload. It's picked up by Ford again. He sells a wee dummy in a sidestep. He's got through 3 or 4 metres of the French 22. Talay on the far side, handing men off. They want to keep it live. Good attack now by Edinburgh. Winding it up this way. Wild pass. DeLuca with an offload out the back of the hand. Wild pass there again. They're trying to do it, of course, and they're trying to do it under pressure. It was Visser with a wild pass out of the back of the hand, not DeLuca. And then, lovely pass by Mike Blair onto a charging Edinburgh colleague. Then Brown at King at standoff. McInally to Talay. Out it goes eventually. Jacobson's there, but he's on the wing. Loose head prop out in the right wing. And then they come back again, but the French defence is good. Gilchrist is caught by a flying up man. It was Bernard Leroux again. Laidlaw looking for runners. Here's Visser, the sidestep in. And then he knew Lee Jones was out on the left. That's a pulverising tackle by Vakatawa, the replacement on this side. Still Edinburgh can't find the gap. They've been near it 2 or 3 times. Tom Brown gets it away eventually. That was Jacobson, I think, beside him. Still the pressure on the French side as Edinburgh crank it up, but the French side have got the 24-point lead. Mike Blair looking for gaps on the inside and the outside. Roddy Grant tries to swat off a couple of tackles. Through the legs there by Ross Ford. Turnover by the French. Desperate stuff for Edinburgh now as the rushing Metro belt it downfield and they chase. And Tom Brown, who's come on as a replacement about 10 minutes ago, has to go back in defence, and he's caught by Wisniewski. This lad Wisniewski can play a bit. He's a cool customer in kicking, but he's a very good player. Nale says yes, they're holding on, and rubs his hands in glee as the referee, John Lacey of Ireland, awards Racing Metro a penalty.
I think it's a strength, Bill, that you see across the whole, defensive line of Racing. They're big, strong units as they're on the attack again. They're not stopping at all. Shabal that time taking the ball on. Ball just dropped back. The French side on the front foot again. Here's
Leroux again, this big lad, and John Leo with him. Great players, very good players. Lovely movement of the ball along to this side, which is the French right wing, taken in by Vakatawa, the big Fijian replacement centre. Scored 4 tries for them this year in the French top 14 league. Wisniewski, the wee mastermind. And he plays standoff as well, and it shows because he's very comfy in that 10 channel as well as away back at fullback where he's been selected tonight. Now Racing Metro's pack driving Edinburgh back almost to the Edinburgh 22. Still 24 points between the sides. Along the line, Hernandez appeared just at a sort of outside the standoff berth. Chance here for the Frenchman. Nakatawa goes again, and then it's Noiro the hooker. Good tackling though by Mike Blair on this side. Tom Brown was there. Ball squirts loose into touch. I think it's going to be a French throw-in.
Yep, those Edinburgh players are blowing pretty hard now. As Richie says, there's a few physical mismatches out there, especially in the backs, where you've got people like Lee Jones up against, this newcomer. Enormous man, isn't he? I mean, it's just very, very difficult to when you're going into contact, you've got to work twice as hard to keep hold of the ball, and it's beginning to show now.
You know, Bill, I think in some ways when you're looking at it from where we are, because we're very lucky, we're sitting up, we've got a great position, that the French forwards in some ways can pretty much manipulate the Edinburgh forwards with maybe 3 or 4 forwards only, and the Edinburgh lads having to throw in another 2. It then allows a pod of about 3 of the other forwards that you expect to be across in the battle are actually out here on the wing, which just creates 2 groups of forwards that allows their backs to do the midfield play. They know they're going to win it in the recycle, and then it's straight back to the other side again. It's very, very difficult to defend. And this is where we said at the top of the programme that the French power will eventually start to grind Edinburgh down. And I see, you can see already that they're not needing to commit as many players as Edinburgh are to the balls and rucks.
Lovely jump and take by Nally. Years of experience in that. Then a wee pass back by one of the French forwards, and I thought there that Loré almost lost it in a forward knock-on, but it wasn't. Edinburgh having to fight very hard for possession now in these close quarter exchanges. And from the driven ruck there, the French will get the put into the scrummage.
Steve Lurie's on for Ross Ford at hooker, and Stephen Turnbull is taking the place, I think, of Grant Gilchrist.
Certainly Turnbull is on, there's no doubt about that. Ford has played his match.
Yeah, Gilchrist is made way in the second row.
So 20 minutes left in this game here. Heineken Cup action at Murrayfield. 24 points separate the sides. Edinburgh 20, Racing Metro 44. At one stage in the first half, I can tell you, it was 17 points to 3 for Edinburgh. Here goes Sebastian Chabal, bursting away from the base of that French scrum, knocked on by Metro, says the referee, indicating advantage to Edinburgh. Mike Blair waits for the ball, gets it away. Laidlaw puts boot the ball this time in behind the winger on that side. Good kick. Lee Jones was after it, but I think that's wee So Bad who's gone away across to the left wing, and I think Imhoff has come off the field, so they've been ringing the changes as well.
Like Michael Bradley, just want to try and keep the pace in the game if you can. I think it's just, in the last 5-10 minutes you can tell the way a game kind of ebbs and flows. It was never going to be able to keep up with the pace that they played in the first 40, and all of a sudden it started to kind of slow down slightly. So I think Bradley throwing players on, like your Stevie Laurie's, they're quick, they can move around the field and try and keep the pace of the game on, try and chase it down. That
was almost an unchallenged line out there for the French. Then they bring it up midfield, and Edinburgh can't get the turnover. Here they come again, this big blue and white hooped French pack, blasting Edinburgh backwards as they make the contact, and Edinburgh just aren't big enough at the moment and strong enough to withstand that. Now here comes one of the new players. That is Eddie Benarous, who's a prop forward. I remember seeing him play for France under-20s up at Inverness just a couple of years ago. Visser gets the ball up this touchline, pops it in field a wee bit wildly. De Luca gets it away. Laidlaw has it, tries to sneak through like a wee trout up a burn there, and Roddy Grant gets it. He feeds it out to Jeff Cross, and he gets a couple of big French forwards round about him, but Cross manages to do very well. Tremendous strength there by Jeff Cross. Turnbull makes the break. Lozada rather. Chance here for Jacobson. Jacobson. The feet are twinkling. The mind was willing, but the flesh wasn't just strong enough. Blair moves it out to this left side. Visser again, and it takes 3 Frenchmen to bring him down. Jacobson was sprinting for the space in midfield. Laidlaw moves it wide. Chance here for McAnally. Out to Talay on the far side. Steps in. Has he got round behind the posts? Yes, he has. He touches down, and that's a good try for Edinburgh, and great reward for their concerted efforts. 25 points to 44, the French lead, but that try will raise spirits.
Well, it all started from down this side of the field, near us, inside the Edinburgh half. Racing kicked ahead, and Greg Laidlaw very cleverly shepherded the attacking player just out of the way, out of Tim Visser's way, to allow the Dutchman to make a bit of ground up the left-hand wing, and it was all from that it started. I know we shouldn't condone cheating, but it was subtly done.
You know, this will be the comeback of all comebacks if Edinburgh can steal this tonight. But all of a sudden I just see just a pick in tempo. I see Tom Smith running on there with the water at the moment, giving the hand signals to try and keep the pace of the game as high as he can, because the one thing is the French are a big pack, but if you start running them around, all of a sudden they're going to work, and I think the gasket's going to go shortly. They've not made a lot of changes up front. I think Chabal's just about to leave the field now as I say that. But good play there, and I'd love to have seen Jacobson's face when he had 25 metres to run with nobody in front of him. I think he actually ran back, didn't he? Came back the way to find a player to carry the ball on.
Sports picture of the year. There's a knock on by Edinburgh trying to gather the ball, and they were offside as well. They were preventing the French forwards from making a clean challenge at that kick-off.
No, I think it was the same thing that happened in the first half, Bill. I think Stevie Turnbull went up for the ball, knocked it on, and then an Edinburgh player played it in front of him and gives Wisniewski a chance to take a couple of minutes off the clock and add a few more points, and he doesn't miss many.
I thought there was a couple of them maybe screening there, but there we go. Chabal is 33 years of age. You know,
33.
So he's at the end
he
of
looks
his,
about
his
90,
career.
doesn't he?
Nale, who played in the World Cup for France in all the games, is 35. Played 6 out of 6 in the French World Cup matches. Old.
Same age as you, Richie, isn't it?
Somebody says he's just a puppy.
Just a youngster.
Just a lad. Well, 35 and still playing international rugby at the top level. Amazing.
27-44, Bill. You think, you know, from a spectator, you know, you've seen some outstanding stuff tonight, but as we say that, Racing with the chance to put this penalty over and just keep edging ahead and keep well away from any danger that Edinburgh might throw at them.
Wisniewski has been a real dead eye, as they say in the cowboy films, with the penalties, because there's another one. 27-47 now, as Wisniewski adds yet another penalty to his already impressive total.
I think I said at the end of the game that, you know, if we were sitting at looking at 60 points to 20 plus, it would be something else. And you know, it's kept the scoreboard ticking over pretty much from the first 35-40 seconds. We've had points pretty much every 2 or 3 minutes, which in some ways from a spectator's point of view is great. From a defensive coach, maybe not the greatest thing you want to see, but it's Edinburgh back on the attack again, and you just don't know, Bill. You just don't know. They're not going to give up this Edinburgh side.
5 conversions, 4 penalties for Wisniewski this evening. Edinburgh again really trying to keep the tempo up. Blair to Laidlaw, short pop-up pass to Roddy Grant, well held there by LaRue, the wing forward. They're now on Racing Metro's 22. The take-up there, I think that was Stuart McInally who took it. Turnover there and penalty to Edinburgh. At last, say the crowd, away goes the big lad. This is Lozada.
He's had a good game today. He's had a good game. That was another good drive, made 20 metres.
Pile driver of a tackle. Was that on Jeff Cross?
Yes, it was.
Look at, just absolutely stopped him in his tracks.
It knocked him 5 yards backwards.
And another drive up there by Mike Blair, number 21 in the back. Here he comes again, feeding it out to Laidlaw. Long ball. Who's this? This is McInally again. Gets it away to Laidlaw. Oh, he's slipping a step. What a run here. Brown at the corner.
Oh.
Try for Edinburgh. Great score made by Greg Laidlaw's wee mazy running. But Tom Brown's pace finished it off. And so, 32 points to 43. Edinburgh now have their 4-try bonus.
67 minutes gone, Bill, and you know, you couldn't write the script on this one. Can Edinburgh, you know, come back from pretty much, you know, the death? Still plenty of time to go in this game. Edinburgh 32, Racing Metro 47.
But, you know, I think Edinburgh definitely deserved a point, haven't they? I mean, they've played a lot of rugby. Their defence hasn't been great, but my goodness, the attacking intent has always been there, and they've been good for their tries. I mean, these are good tries against a team that are no mugs.
Would you believe it, Ian? Sorry for interrupting, but Laidlaw has just nailed the touchline conversion. 34 points to 47, 13 between the sides. Still possible.
Two converted tries would do it, Bill. 2 converted tries.
13 minutes left. Wow, what an evening of rugby we've had here. And it's great to see a Scottish team scoring tries.
You know, it's fantastic, and in some ways, you know, some of the tries that Edinburgh have scored have been identical to the ones that Racing scored in the first 40 minutes. Again, out wide, you know, players over, some great individual skill, players being able to beat the men, but it's all on here at Murrayfield now.
Hernandez. Oh, and it did. Everybody thought it was going to go straight out, but it must have bounced. It missed all the hands and bounced just in the field of play from the dropout in the middle. And it's Edinburgh's line-out throw. And they have, in the second row, to get this now, they've got the big lad, Talley, along with Lozada and along with Steve Turnbull. So there's plenty height. Here it comes. Blair out to Laidlaw at standoff. King, Jim King, takes it up over the Edinburgh 10. Can he get the ball away? There are men standing at the side here. Look at this big lad, what's the number 16 on this side, or number 18? Niliko.
This is going to be an interesting call.
Oh, dear. Right.
Because he looks like he's calling for one of the French players to go across, is it?
Who's being called?
He's getting a
here?
call from behind him, from where the line-out was. There was obviously some afters at the line-out which we missed. And assistant referees walked onto the field to tell the referee exactly what went on at that line-out. But I didn't see anything.
Ian, explain to the listeners what you mean by afters.
Is that like a chocolate after coffee?
Well, I suspect somebody forgot the fact that there's a bunch of cameras here and sighting officials and everything else. Here we go. Right. It's against Racing.
Against Racing.
That's a good call for Edinburgh, because this will give them a great position to get down the field.
Oh, it's a yellow.
Off you go. Crowd love that one.
Au revoir.
So he will come back with 1 minute to go.
Indeed.
And he's a big lump.
I think it is 19. Is it Niliko, the big lock forward? Looks like it. Now, if ever Edinburgh needed a morale booster, now is the time, but they've got it. Racing down to the 14 men, and only 13 points between the sides.
It'd be interesting to know, with Racing forward pack with a man down, I wonder if they're still heavier than the Edinburgh pack with all 8. It'd be close, I would have thought. No?
They were about 5 pounds a man heavier before they started chopping and changing, so goodness knows what it is now. Oh, James King, you almost went straight through the middle there. Great tackle though. Jacobson again, another wonderful tackle that time by Hernandez. He's one of the glamour boys, Hernandez. Oh, and Visser almost threw in a Laidlaw inside pass.
Visser was late. He was late there.
Oh, and they won't really set. They've held on again, and they've conceded another penalty, Edinburgh. And so the French get off the hook.
If Visser had managed to just flip the ball away, James King was coming like a train right on his shoulder. It was right up in the air. There was no one in front of King there. It was a nice little move because Laidlaw actually held the ball and he was just about waiting for Visser, and Visser just hit it.
He had to wait too long, Richie. He looked for him and he wanted to make the pass, and Visser wasn't there, so he had to delay, and then he got the ball, and the gap by that time had closed.
That was gone, was it? Exactly right. It had gone.
I think it was Visser that was just not on the ball, or not where he should have been.
More Heineken rugby this weekend, of course, because Glasgow play Leinster at Dublin. That's on Sunday, 1:45 in the afternoon. And next Friday, Glasgow are at home to Ulster at Fairhill. 7:35 kick-off next Friday. And we'll be covering that on Friday night Rugby Sports Sound. Lionel Nally jumps as he has done so often for the French international side, and plucks the ball out the air. Remember, the French pack is down to 7 men with the sending off of Niliko. Now, out it comes a lot. And there was about 4 black and red shirted Edinburgh players round the French catcher. Eddie Benarous, this young prop forward, just turned 21, gets the ball and doesn't make much headway. They're on the French side of halfway and they're running the clock down. 9 minutes to go, and Edinburgh still trailing by 13 points. They've got a 4-try bonus point, but they need more than that. Laidlaw throws up his arms in exasperation, and this is just textbook running down the clock. Pick and drive, and would be complimenting any Scottish team for doing that in this situation.
Yeah, in some ways, Bill, they just want to get away from here with a result.
Yep.
34 points to 47, still very, very strong on the ball. Edinburgh looking for a counter ruck just to try and snatch the ball away from this French side. Chavonsi
puts it on, boot on the ball away down there. Oh, and it's caught there by Tom Brown. Couple of quick passes. Here's Visser, right across the field. Now he's outside one man, steps inside another, beats off a third one, over halfway up to the French 10. Mike Blair steps in, Greg Laidlaw's there. Long pass out to Brown. Brown with a cut and a straighten up. He's almost through. King is on his shoulder. King will score. Oh, he's been caught brilliantly by the French cover. And it was so bad, who was so good that time. Chance here for Ruddy Grant. Into the corner, getting behind the goalpost. He's there.
Superb
59 points to 47.
This is astonishing
Another
stuff.
try for Edinburgh. Ruddy Grant got the touchdown. Tom Brown and James King did the running.
You thought James King was in there. He had, 20 metres to go. He was just reeled in, though, like he was standing still. Still, the ball was recycled quickly, moved to the right. Ruddy Grant popped up on the right wing. Not his normal position, but he's welcome to play there if he scores tries like that.
It's an important kick for Laidlaw, just inside the French 22. The little man must put this one over.
So Greg Laidlaw stands on the 22 with the French physio administering to one of the players right in front of him. Laidlaw chips high and long and straight. 41 points to 47. The Frenchman still in lead. Only 6 points now separate Edinburgh and Racing Metro.
Bill, it was interesting. When Greg Laidlaw was taking that kick, there were 2 Racing players who were getting treatment, not one. I think Richie's right. I think they're beginning to blow. I think they're struggling a little bit. I know I said that same thing about Edinburgh not too long ago, but Racing, I think, are on the ropes.
I think the changes have been spot on, to be honest, from Bradley. I think the intensity in the game's gone up. The French, to me, at the moment, look like they're beginning to die on their feet. Well, remember, 7 minutes to go. It's not over yet. There's plenty of time here. Edinburgh just want to control this game, keep the pace of the game as high as they can, and keep the ball.
Lee Johnson managing to scrabble the ball across field. Mike Blair waits. And the French have been tempted into going offside, and they've kicked the ball away, so they're marched back another 10 metres. I've been impressed by young Tom Brown since he's come on. He's got that. It's so
He's elusive,
valuable.
Bill, isn't he? He's
a great
elusive.
asset of pace.
Yep, definitely great stepper. Very rarely do you see anybody put a real kind of T-bone hit on him. And he's also been a great linking player tonight as well.
And look at that kick from Greg Laidlaw. He's put Edinburgh up deep into the Racing 22 there, maybe 10 metres inside the Racing 22, so perhaps 15 or so metres away from the try line with their throw in. Steve Laurie with the ball. Let's see if they can win a line out.
Well, there's a wee contingent of French folk away on the far side, just on the French 10 metres line in the east stand, and they've gone quite quiet. But there are 5,000 odd Edinburgh supporters here, and they're cheering their heads off. Here goes Talley, taking it. I think it was Jeff Cross who got the line out ball that time.
Alan Jacobson. First time in his life, I think.
Edinburgh playing at pace. They don't want to overcook it. Visser almost through. Again, it comes whistling in from the left wing. Now, who's got the ball this time? Edinburgh have. They are 15 metres short. They're driving. There's only 6 points between the sides. Now Edinburgh move it wide. Again, lovely take by James King, who's had a very good game for the capital side. Laidlaw gets caught and isolated. Brings it back this way. Jacobson takes it up. Blair, the playmaker. Ruddy Grant, 3-2 chance. De Luca scores. Nick De Luca has scored for Edinburgh. 46-47. This is a fairy tale match, and you're listening to it on BBC Radio Scotland, Friday night rugby sports sound.
Sorry to interrupt you, Bill. I think it was Visser who he had a man outside him, one man to beat, just decided to keep hold of the ball himself, cut inside the last man, scored the try himself. That's another one to Tim Visser, Scotland's favourite Dutchman, and we're going to be claiming him as one of our own very soon, I think.
The killer is, though, that Laidlaw was scoring a try out wide, which they had to do, but Laidlaw's got an absolute raker of a kick to put the 2 points over, and right out here in the touchline.
Interesting you say that, Richie, because the referee just told him to move the tee back 6 inches.
What a game, what a game.
Let's hope it doesn't miss the left upright now by 6 inches.
I'm not even going to say anything about Laidlaw's kicking tonight because it'll be the kiss of death, so Bill, I'll leave it to you.
Here he is, right down in the touchline then. This wee figure to put Edinburgh back in the lead. 46-47 at the moment. Oh, he's nailed it.
Yes.
Oh, it's there. Yes. It's there. It wavered and dipped and ducked and swerved, and then it went over. Edinburgh lead 48 points to 47.
Bill,
what a reply.
Amazing what you were saying before about that little crowd of Racing fans. The entire East Stand are on their feet, screaming, shouting, cheering and stomping. And there's a little group of very sad Frenchmen right in the middle who are all sitting down.
I don't think that went 10, to be honest. That was an absolute howler from the referee, because that kick did not go 10 from the Racing players. That should have been back to Edinburgh. You can see the Edinburgh bench going absolutely daft down there, and it's little decisions like that that can sometimes cost you. But Edinburgh do get the line out. 48 points to 47. Could you have written the script for that in the first couple of minutes of this evening?
There's another Racing man down. He's coming off the pitch. It might, not sure who it is, but someone's got off the pitch.
Ian,
I don't know.
I think they're out on their feet, to be honest. I really do. I think they're out on their feet. I think
is it LaRue, the wing forward?
I don't.
Oh, what a jump by McAnally. Right on the Edinburgh 10. The French forwards, Nally is in there. Inspired leadership by Lionel Nally. He'll be wondering what on earth has hit them. You know, they were 44 points to 20 ahead at one stage, and now it's 48-47 for Edinburgh.
And it's time for Edinburgh to run down the clock a little bit. I think it's very frustrating when you're trying to play against that.
This is the time you want to do it now, Ian. 2 minutes to go.
2 minutes to go, and they're just going to pick and drive. Or is Mike Blair going to kick this one downfield? He is.
There's a kick ahead, and Visser's after it, and he was onside. Up he goes. Gets it to the second nibble. He goes to ground. They're over halfway. Oh, and on the field is big Steve Turnbull. He wants this ball. Ooh, he wants it from the ruck. Talai gives it to him, and Turnbull just collapses in a big 6'7" long heap. Picked up by Jeff Cross, who's had a grand game this evening after a shaky start in the set scrums. Mike Blair organising things. I don't want it. He says, you fellas take it. You big guys, take the batterings. James King comes wandering in, not quite sure why. Laidlaw drifts out. They're going to put the kick in away downfield, I think. They're into the second last minute. It's almost the last minute. 78 minutes, 79 minutes played. 1 to go. Edinburgh leading by 1 point. Heineken Cup glory here waiting Edinburgh.
Yeah, they sealed off there, Bill.
Oh, and they've conceded a penalty
for sealing off.
Yeah, man in front of the ball. And to be honest, that's what, you know, as a coach, you look at that and you're absolutely tearing your hair out, because really they had 60 seconds to wind the clock down.
And I thought they'd have gone for post there, because Wisniewski's got a decent boot in him, but Hernandez has kicked it to touch already.
They'll put them into the drop goal zone. Big 30 seconds here. Edinburgh got to try and nullify this line out first and foremost, and then they've got to make sure they do not give them a chance.
Discipline,
putting 3 points over.
There's a whole load of fancy dress people, I think it's children in need, running down the running track in front of us, but all eyes really are on the game in front, because Bianchin, the replacement hooker, is throwing in. Now remember, the French were down to 7 forwards. They're back up now. All 8 are back on the field. Edinburgh lead by 1 point. Hernandez can drop goals off either foot. He's right-footed, but he's done it off his left.
The problem we've got here, Bill, the problem I've got here is, do not give a penalty away, but you must nullify any sort of French attack. 10 seconds left on the clock, and they've stopped the clock now.
Yeah,
10 seconds.
They're having an argument about this little chap on the right wing as to whether he's allowed to be on the field or not.
Number 20 is Vescon. Throw up, Nally, majestic, out to Hernandez. Oh, the big lad is almost through the centre. Wow, Vakatawa, what a run. That's the full time up, but the French have still got the ball. It could be an injury time try. Here's Hernandez, who's going to try to charge him down. Desperate last minute, goes for the drop. Oh, and he's missed it.
He's missed it.
And Edinburgh have won the game by 48 points to 47. You heard it right. 48 points to 47. Here's Jim Mason.
I'm not actually sure what we've witnessed here tonight. That is an incredible result. There are 5,067 people here. Edinburgh's biggest crowd of the season, and what they've just witnessed is the most remarkable game of rugby. It was the President's 15 against the Secretary Select. End of season. Surprised they weren't drinking port at half time, Ian. I mean, it was just that was an incredible game of rugby.
Jim, I was at that France-New Zealand game in 1999, the World Cup game, where France came back from absolutely out of it to win, And frankly, it didn't hold a candle to this game. You wouldn't have given any money for Edinburgh when they were, 23 points down, I think, at one stage. And to come back, enormous character. I must admit, I was a non-believer, and I'm a convert now. That showed heaps of character. They just kept playing rugby. They kept playing, and to score, 3 tries in the last 20 or so, fantastic. Amazing game of rugby.
Someone has texted 80295, Visser and Laidlaw, predators, little and large. This is great, almost like watching Scotland. It's certainly not like watching Scotland at the moment.
You know something, Jim, we said at the top of the show that all we need to do is get teams winning, and you look at 5,000 plus here tonight, the crowd are on their feet. I've never really heard an atmosphere like this for many a year at a pro team game. We're just, all of us are absolutely desperate just to talk it up, and every week you're wanting to do that. Edinburgh tonight, 48 points to 47. You've got to repeat the score a couple of times just to kind of get it into the head. But some outstanding play, some horrendous stuff as well, but a fantastic result. And in Heineken Cup rugby, you've got to win your games. It's as simple as that.
It would be invidious to pick out one particular player, but I thought what exemplified Edinburgh's approach in the second half was Alan Chunk Jacobson in the loose. The amount of carries Chunk had, it showed a willingness, it showed a spirit. The amount of times he took ball on, took it into the French set-up, it showed what Edinburgh were all about.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Edinburgh guys are fit. You've got to give them that. They played for 80 minutes, no question about it. The Racing guys, out on their feet by the end. They just weren't in the races. And, you're absolutely right. Alan Jacobson carried and he carried and he carried. He was absolutely tireless. I don't think he gave up the ball once. There were a bunch of heroes tonight. Stuart McAnally had a good game. Lozada had a good game in the forwards. I really thought, there wasn't a bad player out there. But it's really the self-belief that gets me, Jim. Ignore the physical stuff. It was the self-belief, the mental self-belief to keep believing they could win the game and keep playing rugby. And they did that, and, fair play to them. They got a result. And that's it. One point is how Edinburgh win games. They did it last week. They did it this week. There you go. It's just a shame, instead of being 5,000 people, shame we didn't have 55,000 people in here, because that match deserved 55,000 people.
It's funny, 5,000 for this game. If they keep winning in the Heineken Cup, you're going to build on that and build on that. And to be honest, people pay their money to be entertained, and we've all been entertained tonight. There's been some fantastic bits of rugby. It's had all the drama, right down to the last second, where, to be honest, Racing should have won that game with a drop goal. It was an absolute straight in front of the sticks, 10 metres out, and it was a horrendous attempt. But at the end of the day, that's rugby, and you'll take it. Fantastic result, and you've got a crowd in front of us of maybe 1,000 plus that have literally thronged around the players' tunnel. I've not seen that here in a couple of years, and it's great to see. It's absolutely fantastic to see. There's a lot of happy supporters down there. The Edinburgh players will gain confidence from this. It's going to be a happy place on Monday, Tuesday. There's nothing better as a coach when you've just come off 2-2.
The other thing it's going to do, because these two teams, make no bones about it, Edinburgh and Glasgow feed off each other. The other thing it's going to do is going to put pressure on Glasgow to get a result in Dublin. Now, we've all said how tough that is, but after watching this tonight, obviously nothing's impossible.
Anyone who's been to a club rugby match in Scotland and stood at the side of the park watching a game, the crowd occasionally follows the ball, and that was the first time I'd seen this at Edinburgh tonight. Sections of the crowd were following the ball along the touchline, as if you were engaged with the game on a Saturday afternoon at a park. Just it showed that engagement with the crowd, with the action on the park.
Jim, they're going to be talking about this game when the Heineken Cup is done and dusted in May of next year. They'll look back over the Heineken Cup, and this will be one of the games they highlight as just showing the absolute best of everything European rugby has to offer. Absolutely fantastic entertainment, a barrel load of tries, two sides here to play rugby. Outstanding, absolutely outstanding.
Can you get double bonus points?
I'm just thinking, from the kind of the purist point of view, you could start ripping into the game and looking at the lineouts and the scrums and all that bits and pieces. But I think tonight, on the whole occasion, and the way that they actually turned around the result, they were dead and buried. 20 plus points down. They were never going to come back from it. but I've never seen a team die like that as well, because Racing, who were on the front foot, champagne rugby for the first 40 minutes, you could just literally see the legs go from them in the last 10-15 minutes, and that's testament to Edinburgh and the way they played in the last 15 minutes of that game.
And a good indicator of that was that they were frustrating Edinburgh in attack. They were up quick. They were stopping. You know, on the outside centre channel, they were right up on the outside centre,
flying up in 13,
and they were causing problems for Edinburgh. That stopped.
Yes.
And Edinburgh's, as you say, Edinburgh's fitness took over, and they got back into the game. I mean, just an incredible game of rugby. I mean, you don't want to pick it apart.
No, you don't
because
actually. No,
it was just a great thing to watch. But what the main thing that comes out of this, from an Edinburgh point of view, given the result last week against London Irish, is the whole question of character. We talk about tight games in the Heineken Cup, and the constant failing of Scottish teams has been to play well and to be competitive, but ultimately not to win the game. What Edinburgh have done in these two games is turned that on its head.
You got to win it, but you know, it doesn't matter by a point. You know, the other thing I would add as well, Jim, is there's 5,000 plus people walking out of Murrayfield tonight saying, you know what, when are Edinburgh playing at home again? Because I'm going to come back and watch that, and I'll tell you what, I'll bring a mate with me, I'll bring a friend, I'll bring the wife and the kids and everybody else, uncles and aunties, and this is how you build a crowd. It's as simple as that, and that's the first time I've really seen a real sort of roar in Murrayfield. And I've always said, and you know, I won't go back on it, Murrayfield's a very, very difficult place to get any sort of atmosphere unless there's 50,000 plus people or the place is filled. But all of a sudden you've got the kind of club feel, and it needs a crowd here, and that team deserves to have a good crowd watching it week in, week out. Great stuff.